We have one more deck profile to cover that GD04 gives us. It's an oldie but a goodie, and I do mean goodie, because Zeon finally has some strong legs to stand on. This is just one version I'm currently taking with, but I feel great using it. Zeon can now be aggro enough on its own to keep up the fight against fellow aggros while having enough tricks to keep the field supplied, defenses up, and plans for mid and late game. Believe me when I tell you that the Zeon makes a massive difference. Being 3 bodies in one gives you a massive field advantage, made better with it just being on pair with a new type, so even Nian can help make it a 5-5. G-Fred especially will be great at whittling down the opponent's field, especially if League Militaire keeps rising in popularity. I also threw in some mini G-Freds again because even if you aren't lucky enough to get its burst effect, it's another link for Nian so you can still get her ping off. A Baoku is honestly underrated as it forces your opponent's early game to trade into your own units. Against more mid to late range decks, they can work around it, but looking at the current meta, that might not be an issue. The biggest variant in this deck is the top end, Big Zam or Neo Zeon. Big Zam is so situational because it's such a big hater of blockers. If your opponent isn't running blockers, then it can be limited in scope. But if it pops off, it goes. Neo Zeon is currently one of the most powerful units in the game. This deck does require that full frontal links with it to turn all your regular Zeon into Neo Zeon, very annoying. So your 2 top ends are between either something situational or difficult to set up. But that's the good thing with Zeon right now. It's got enough aggro that it can sit pretty and fight things out long enough to where if you have late game, then you can drop something like Neo Zeon down to be counterplay. Trust me, I've literally lived through this in a match against Green White Wing Zero, and I won with Neo Zeon coming down to wipe the board. Of course, you could always go back to 8 Quux as your top end, just for the sake of consistency with Nian. Always an option. Of course, I am still tweaking this as the game goes on. I've legit given heavy consideration to level 5 units like the B-Grow and G-Quux Scan to help the mid-game more, but I'll have to see where the game goes from here and adjust accordingly. Overall, Zeon is sitting in a much prettier spot than it was before, and well, if you couldn't tell by my name and look, it makes me very happy. Now, while I did revisit Zeon since it's technically an older deck, it got enough tools to make, well, interesting. I won't be doing the same to other meta staple decks. 1 Year War is back with a vengeance thanks to Zeon, but besides that, they didn't really get any new tools. Although there is a sudden rise in Jaburo usage. Even worse for Blurple, who got absolutely nothing that warrants changing their strategy. Green White Wing hasn't needed to change since Rick Diaz showed up in GD02 for better or worse, and well, it still rarely shows up. Except maybe Zackrello, I guess? Turn your opponent's units into blockers so Ultron and Shenlong can blow them up? I don't know, it's funny. That does it on deck profiles for now unless something weird comes up. GCG Expo, or Gexpo as I'm calling it, is next weekend, so we can expect reveal season and news to finally kick into gear. Until then, we'll be doing prediction videos next.